Call me out, tiger. Call me out, why don't you laugh? Lift me up higher above the clouds, won't you love? When the scenery is right, go right in. I wanna fall deep within. Don't leave me hanging just 'cause I'm too proud. Whisper away my outdated doubts. Somebody do me the...
Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Bree, and today's video I thought I would do something a little different. I have been in the mood for historical mystery a lot lately, but I have been using the library a lot, which is great, but I also added up what percentage I've read from my own shelf, and I'm only at 45%. So I want to get that closer to like the 60% mark and read down my TBR a bit. So I thought I'd pick some thrillers out that I've been meaning to read. I was going to read the first chapter of each one and then see which one's most intriguing to me, and then that will go out in the reading vlog that you'll see on Saturday. And so I will probably only pick one of these, but usually I can get through about 2 books, so I might pick a backup as well just in case I finish the first one. Really, I enjoy thrillers, but I don't know what my exact taste is in thrillers yet. I really know what my mystery reading tastes are. I know I like historical mystery, I like detective fiction, and I tend to lean away from the darker mysteries. I enjoy cozy mysteries, but I don't enjoy them as much as historical or a regular mystery. So I've really gotten to know my mystery taste over the past couple years, but I just don't know my thriller taste really, because I tend to just pick up what's popular and I've never really explored what I like and what I don't like. So I thought I'd go through the different ones and kind of give a really brief synopsis, and I'll get into more of my thoughts once I read the first chapter. So the first one we have, which I believe came out in 2021, is If We Were Villains by Emil Rio, which is a murder happened during a Shakespearean play, and then years later you're figuring out what really happened, and it's a cast of theater characters, which I think sounds interesting. And then this is The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. It's a dual timeline, I think dual POV, of a aunt who goes missing back in the 80s, and then in the present day, which was 2017, her niece is looking for her at this motel, and some crazy stuff starts to go down. I've read the Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James this year, and it's one of my favorite books of the year so far, so I like Simone St. James as a writer, so I have high hopes for this one. Then this is All Her Little Secrets by Wanda M. Morris. This was a book club pick for Kayla from Books and Lala's Literally Dead book club, and I was trying to read along with the books, but I'm such a mood reader that it's hard for me to stick to a TBR, so I didn't end up reading this in the month that it was being read, but I hope to still get to it because I still think it sounds really interesting. This is following a lawyer whose boss is found murdered, and now people think that she was maybe the one who did it because she might want to take his place and stuff, and I think it deals with a lot of racism in the office place and just being a black woman in her position and just all that. Then I've got Such a Quiet Place by Megan Miranda. I have read All the Missing Girls by her last October, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it, I think, 3.5 to 4 stars. It's just a fast-paced thriller that I just found fun. So this one is following a family who was murdered in this neighborhood, and then they think they caught who did it, but she comes back, I think, to the town, and secrets start being revealed. So did she actually kill the family, or was it someone else? Who knows? But I liked Megan Miranda's writing, so I'm very intrigued with this. And then we've got Velvet Was the Night by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. And this is I think a noir type style. I think it's a thriller, but I guess it could be considered a mystery. I'm not exactly sure. But this is about a case in Mexico City in the 1970s, and someone is killed or disappears under mysterious circumstances, and a girl in the same building, I think, starts looking into what happened to her. And then I think there's like a con artist or something who also like starts looking for the missing girl, and things start unraveling. And I've heard it's like very noir, dark, and creepy, and I think that this could really work for me because I like the historical setting, and reading it in Mexico City, that's a new like kind of location for me to read a historical mystery in, and so I think that this could be fun. And I do think it's more of like a thriller. So, and I really want to try Mexican Gothic, and she also has The Daughter of Dr. Moreau coming out soon, and so if I like this, I really want to read that one because I think that one sounds so intriguing. So here's the books I'm going to get reading. I think I'm just going to start in the order I listed them, and then I will let you know my thoughts.
My outdated doubts. Somebody do me the courtesy, dress me down. I'm not that old yet, I'm far too young to not stand my ground. But my ways are mine and I don't wanna change, not even for love. Now take back all them hard words. I'm a grown woman with confidence and sense. In the middle, meet me in the middle. I'm a riddle, figure me out. We'll tornadoes, we'll drink morning dew, and we'll be lovers, me, you. Full force tiger, call me out with them blue-green eyes. You know I'm a fighter, the good kind, not running with lies.
Okay, finished the first chapter. I read the prologue and the first chapter. I think I'm going to do that for the other ones if there's prologues. I'm going to rate intrigue on a scale of 1 to 10, and then I think I'm going to just give like the vibes and if I think it is like something that seems more my style or not based on what I've read in the past. And then did I feel like continuing reading after the first chapter? Like, could I not put it down? So for this one, I feel like intrigue, I'm like at a 6. So the prologue is basically this guy, Oliver. He is in jail and has been in jail, it seems like, for about 10 years, and the police chief is saying that he's leaving. So if he wants to tell a story, he can tell it now, and it would be off the record. And Oliver seems to be getting out of jail soon, so he's kind of like deciding, does he want to tell his story or not, because he's almost out of jail. And then you don't exactly know what for. And then the first chapter is just 7 of them in college, and they're all talking about this play that they're all auditioning for, and they're all theater majors. And then it's from Oliver's perspective. He is kind of like the one who is kind of cast as always the side character, never the main character. And then there's a couple different personalities in there. I don't know if we're going to get dual POV. So far it's just been Oliver's point of view. I think vibes are, I want to say like dark academia-ish with like a theater twist. I would say writing style for like, is this my style? And there's other parts of this, but the writing style specifically, there's a lot of like Shakespeare quoted and lines from like different plays. I don't mind it, but it's not exactly my style. I don't do the best with like flowery writing or overly like lyrical writing, because sometimes it's hard for me to follow what is actually being said and what it's meaning. So I tend to like a little more like to the point writing. I do like descriptions, but when it gets overly flowery, where you're having to decipher meanings, that can be difficult. And adding in like the Shakespeare just like makes it another thing for me to have to decipher. When I read in school a lot of my medieval literature and stuff, I loved it because I loved the stories were just so like kind of strange and fun, but I did really have to like sit there and decipher what was being said, and that's why I liked the classes, because we would break down what things meant. Where this I just think it would take me a little bit longer. So that's where I'm at on this. I am feeling pretty good about it. I would say I'm at like a 6 for intrigue. And it seems like it's not necessarily my style, but it's not my style because there's also this like element of multiple group of people, and I really liked In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, which does that. So it seems like it could be up my alley. So I'm in the middle about this one.
And when the night is high like you and I will be soon, then we won't have nothing on us. No, we'll be howling, jumping up and down, howling, crazy fools, feeling young. In the middle, meet me in the middle. I'm a riddle, figuring me out. We'll dry needles, we'll drink morning dew, and we'll be lovers, me you. 'Cause we're crazy fools, feeling young. Crazy fools, feeling young. We're crazy fools, feeling young. We're crazy fools, feeling young. Oh, we're crazy fools, feeling young.
Well, that was over quick. It was only 6 pages. Intrigue, like an 8. Maybe a 9. I think that Simone St. James's writing, because I'll get into, like, I guess the style too. Is it my style? Yes. It's just something that I click with. It's eerie without being overly confusing. And she just really, like, creates an atmosphere that you just want to know what's happening. And there's definitely like supernatural elements to this already. So the first chapter is from Viv's perspective, which is in November 1982. So this is the aunt, and she's coming to her night shift at the Sundown Motel, and she's already scared. She is like feeling like it's nearing the end of what, I'm not sure. She seems to have like a mission. You're just not sure exactly what it is, but you also know from the radio that another girl, it seemed like, went missing and was found dead in a field like not that far from the motel. And she writes in a notebook at some point like she failed this girl, and you don't exactly know why, but it seems like too that there's some ghosts maybe in the motel. So yeah, I'm intrigued. It's only 6 pages, but I immediately want to keep reading. So far, this is, like, the number one. Obviously, I've only read 2, but this one, like, sucked me in right away. Versus the other one, If We Were Villains, hasn't sucked me in quite as much. Like, this one, I just am like, what is happening? I think I really like a ghost story, too, or, like, paranormal elements, it seems like, in thrillers, because the Book of Cold Cases kind of has that. Is there a paranormal element to it? And I really enjoyed it, so it might just be, like, that's for me. And her writing is just as good as in the Book of Cold Cases, and that was something that I really, really loved about this. So, yes, this one so far is the number 1.
Down by the sea, at the edge of the water, the coming waves kiss my feet. The touch from the warm wind that's blowing in, reminded me of you. I don't know for how long I can carry on, pretending that everything's alright, and that it will be
the prologue and this, and it was only like 10 pages total. That first chapter starts with a bang, let me tell you. So the prologue is basically her leaving when it's in the 70s. I think she's 14 at the time, and it's her going to like a boarding school where she's just gonna learn. I guess that's what you do at a boarding school. But yeah, so she's leaving and she's scared and just like kind of like nervous for what's to come. And then you go to present day and she is sleeping with her boss, but also is like called up to his office for like some reason. I don't know. I don't think he gave it to her. He just asked her to come for like this meeting, and then she goes and it's at night. She's just kind of like thinking to herself how she should like end this affair and things like that, and actually like get a different job and like one where she's more what's the word, appreciated. Jeez. And then she goes in and she finds him dead, and he's been shot in the head, and he has the gun, so it looks like maybe he did it. And she just shuts off the lights and runs because that was just like her instinct was to just run and leave, and no one would ever know she had been there. Yeah, intrigue. I would say like a 7. No, I would say like an 8 out of 10 for me. I think Sundown Motel is like a 9 out of 10. This is an 8 out of 10. Started with a bang, and I like the writing style. I think it's not eerie like in the Sundown Motel, but it's just shocking, I think, without being like overly graphic or anything like that, which I really like. I think the atmospheric writing in the Sundown Motel is important because it's gonna have some like potentially paranormal elements to it, where this doesn't need it, because this is definitely more of like your typical like thriller where someone's been murdered and launches it from there. But I'm really intrigued. I like already want to know more about the dynamics of her in this work environment, and I wonder if we'll get more from her past flashbacks or anything like that. But yeah, I'm really liking the writing. I'm liking the intrigue is there. I can see myself definitely picking this one up for different reasons than the other ones. This one just seems like a good mystery thriller, I guess, where it's like more of the whodunit kind of thing and you just don't know who to trust. That's kind of what I get from this. And I am definitely intrigued.
I step into the water to wash away the pain. The devil spread on my name, but the touch from the warm wind is blowing in, is keeping me safe.
So I finished the first chapter of Such a Quiet Place. I think I'm gonna give it probably a 6, same as If We Were Villains. It's intriguing, but I don't think it's capturing my attention like the other two, All of Her Little Secrets and The Sundown Motel are. I think that Megan Miranda's writing is very easy to read. It's very easy to get into. It's just one of those thrillers that's like can appeal to a lot of people, I feel like, because of how easy it is to just jump into the story. It's definitely my style thriller in that, like I said, it's very much for a lot of people, so I can see myself getting into it. I like neighbor dynamics, friend dynamics, so like If We Were Villains or In My Dreams I Held a Knife, that intrigues me, but I just don't think it's capturing my attention the same way. It doesn't have that same eeriness that I like in the Sundown Motel, and it doesn't have that like bang of action like All Her Little Secrets does. And again, this is one where a woman is found guilty of killing her 2 neighbors. Then she was supposed to serve for 20 years in jail, but after it sounds like a year and a half, some things were overturned and she's been released. So she comes back and is now with Harper, who she used to live with, And I believe they're supposed to be in like their 20s. It sounds like late 20s or so. It just starts with her coming back and not really explaining why she's back or anything. And it's from the point of view of Harper, who is feeling very apprehensive. And then the other neighbors, there's like a group chat that they like talk in that they know people are back. And there's just a lot of different dynamics. And I'm like interested and intrigued, but I wouldn't say above the other ones. So that's why I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10.
I don't know for how long I can carry on, pretending that everything's alright, and that it will be fine in the end. In the end. In the end. In the end. In the end.
Okay, finished. Velvet Was the Night. This is dual POV. First chapter is following Elvis, and he is part of like a gang, and it's all his point of view, and he is like kind of talking about his position in the gang and like trying to assert his dominance and things like that. And then they're at this thing for a school. I'm kind of confused why they're at the school, and they are like trying to stop camera people from taking their pictures, and it seemed like they had a plan for something, though I'm not exactly sure what it was, because I just feel like it was probably told to me, but it went over my head. But then there's some gunshots, and one of their members gets shot, and he's trying to get them help, but one of the other guys is more focused on like getting the camera people and doing that, and so he has to choose to help his friend or to like leave him to die, basically. And he chooses to help his friend, and the chapter ends as he's like rushing him to the hospital. So I get where this is like noir. So if you don't know, noir is like darker. So usually it's like in detective fiction. It's a lot of times where like a policeman or things like that are trying to solve a mystery, but they have like a darker outlook on life. They may be corrupt, or they may just like have a bleak view of the world, so it is darker and a little more crude and things like that. And I definitely see that in this. The writing for Elvis is a lot more like swear words, just more, I guess, like street lingo. And I think for intrigue, I'm gonna give this a 6 as well. Like, I'm interested in what's happening. I don't feel like I got to understand really any of the mystery from that first chapter. There's gunshots and you don't know why, but the synopsis talks about following a missing woman, and like that wasn't touched on at all. So I found that interesting. I'm interested to know what's going to happen, but I don't know if this is necessarily like my go-to style. But I do like this because I think it could help me like narrow down if this kind of story is my thing. There's a lot of like talk around like gangs, but also we're in 1970s and in Mexico, so there's a lot of things to like learn, I think, for me. That's part of the reason why I like historical fiction, and so I can see that I could really get into this, I think. So yeah, that's my thoughts. 6 out of 10. So here are the books that I read. I gave a 6 out of 10, I believe, a 9 out of 10, an 8 out of 10, 6 and a 6. So I think I obviously have to go with these two. So I think in my next reading vlog, I'm definitely going to be reading The Sundown Motel. And then if I finish that, I will read All Her Little Secrets. I think these two just seem to be more my taste. Sorry, camera died. So I think I was saying I'm going to go with these two. They seem more my taste, something that I like the atmospheric vibes of this one. And I really like the plot of this one so far. It was like very shocking, and I think I will like the like detective side of things in this one. My thoughts on these. I feel like Velvet Was the Night is just a lot more out of my usual reading because it seems a bit grittier, darker, but I think that I'm most intrigued by this one out of the rest of them just because it is so different, and I want to see if it's something that is my style more and if I could really like stuff like this, because I haven't read a lot like this. This one I just feel like is your average, like normal kind of thriller. So it's very much in like my safe zone, I think. I don't know if this would give me anything new or necessarily what I'm looking for, which is like a new favorite thriller and narrowing down my taste. I just think this is one that's like I could read at any time as like a filler book. And then this one, I just don't know if this writing style will be for me. I think that this lyrical writing a lot of details can be lost on me, and I just don't feel like I was connecting with the characters right away as much as I was in the other books that were presented. But I do think all of them I want to still give a try. I don't feel like any of them I was completely turned off by. So I'm going to read these two, and then probably for another vlog I'll end up reading at least these two, if not all three. But I'm going to start with those two. I'd love to know if there's any thrillers that you are planning to pick up soon, and if you've read any of these, I'd love to know your opinions on them. So yeah, if you want to leave a comment down below and let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them and what you're currently reading, I would love that. And I hope you subscribe and like if you haven't already. And yeah, until next time.